Hey everybody, it is Thursday, so we are back here on Zero Limits. I'm Jay, she's Tam,
I'm Tam.
and and we are joined today by Ben Stein of Keeper. And I can't wait to jump in and hear some of the stories that we've got lined up here today. And I've been a little absent here, so Tam has been doing a lot of the behind the scenes on the show. So I'm going to turn over to her for a moment and let her jump in, and we'll get hearing about the Keeper story.
Yeah, so I'm really excited to have you here with us today, Ben, because you're doing such great things for accountants, especially in, automating and streamlining month-end close, which we know can be a very, very painful process. So love to hear, what your origin story looks like, and it's funny for those of you listening. Ben and I actually interacted before this. I was contracting for a local firm in Seattle for a little bit when I thought I was going to start an accounting firm, and had the opportunity to try Keeper both on the QuickBooks side and on the Xero side. And I have to say, I'm just blown away, especially by your W-9 collection process. It had a lot of really, really good feedback around that. So I'm going to turn it over to you, Ben. Just if you wouldn't mind just sharing a little bit about who you are and why you started Keeper, that'd be great.
Sure. Yeah. So I am Ben. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Keeper, and thank you so much both for having me on here. It's always a pleasure. So Keeper is, in short, it's a month-end close manager. It's a suite of tools to help bookkeepers and accountants run a better month-end close, from client communications that's connected directly to the ledger, to file reviews to catch coding errors proactively, to, as you mentioned, W-9 and 1099 management, to stay on top of vendor documentation, to task management, management reporting, and so much more. The sort of real idea is, how can we connect really deeply to your accounting software and automate a bunch of the rote work that you have to do? And so, unsurprisingly, Keeper came from me needing to do a lot of that rote work. I used to be the CFO of a tech startup, which was a lofty title that was completely inappropriate for the work that I was doing. I was I was the finance guy. I did our books. We got larger. I worked at an outsourced accounting firm, and I was just inundated in spreadsheets and email at what felt like very manual, outdated processes. So my co-founder and I started hacking on Keeper, really just building the tools that I wished that I had as part of our month-end close. And as we started working with our accountants and bookkeepers that were maybe foolish enough to take my early calls, just listening to the feedback they've given us and iterating on that, that's how Keeper became what it was, and that's that plus 3 years of iteration is how we are who we are today.
I love that. So when you first launched Keeper, what were the capabilities of Keeper, and who were your first, if you can share with us, who were your earliest customers and how did they take to it?
Yeah. So our first customers, a lot of our first customers came from the bookkeepers.com community. Ben Robinson, who runs bookkeepers.com, he had a podcast called the I Love Bookkeeping podcast, and we just emailed all of the people who went on that podcast. So, and some of them responded, and they were our earliest customers. My actual accountant from my last company ended up being one of our early customers. So it was really like anyone who would pick up the phone. And Keeper, from its earliest stages, really had all of the things. And what we've done over the last 3 years is make them much, much, much more robust. So in the first 2-3 months, we had task management, file review tools, rudimentary client communications tools, and management reporting. And we've just continued to layer on top all of the added functionality. So a 1099s feature that grew into a W-9 requests feature, a KPI tracking tool that really is now like a spreadsheet connected to your client's QuickBooks file that you can use to track custom KPIs and build out visuals. Seamlessly integrates with our both there's reasons you'd want it as part of your month-end close, as well as reasons why you'd want it as part of your management reporting. So, but really from the earliest days, it's always been about how can we connect your place where you track your work, your task management system, your workflow system, your communication system, to the actual work itself, which is primarily in the ledger.
That's incredible. I love that. The general ledger is the source of truth for accountants, right? And yet you integrate so well into both QuickBooks and the Xero side. Can you tell us a little bit more about how that integration works and how that's impacted your customers?
Yeah. So basically, what happens is a customer will connect a QuickBooks file or a Xero file. And what we can do with that is we can pull in the vendors, we can pull in the accounts, the chart of accounts, the financial statements, the contacts, the transactions, of course. And essentially at that point, we have full access to all the things you'd want to do in the ledger, and we can just help you do them. So we can flag errors and allow you to correct them directly inside of Keeper, rather than needing to go back into opening that up in QuickBooks or Xero. We can identify transactions you want to ask your clients about and allow you to do that directly in Keeper instead of needing to export something outside of Xero. Of course, we can identify vendors or contacts that might be missing some tax documentation, like a W-9, and allow you to request that information. So it sort of follows that general paradigm of leveraging the data to identify something that you may want to take action on, and then also letting you take that action.
Are there any differences in the integrations between Keeper and QBO and Xero?
There are a few subtle ones. I think it is really cool the degree to which you would just not notice which ledger you're using if you were just running a review in Keeper. There are a few ones around the some things that are made available in one API and not the other. But broadly speaking, 99% of the experience is the same.
This is big, right? The fact that it's so incredibly manual to find these kinds of mistakes, these errors, these missing contact names, or inconsistencies between coding, even on transactions, those types of things would be very difficult to find. Normally, you'd have to go in and run an account transactions report, and then you have to spend the time looking through those transactions to see where things are coded. And yet, this is something that's actually being called out within Keeper. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's exactly right. And it was literally born out of my own closing processes. So what I would do is I would download a spreadsheet of the every transaction added to the ledger in the last month, and then just skim it to see if anything looked weird, and then highlight them and come back to them later and look at them in QuickBooks or look at them in Xero. And I was doing this as a second layer review on, we had an outsourced accounting firm that worked on our books at this point. And it was crazy to me. And I would catch stuff. It would be Zoom was coded to software 1 month, and then office expenses another month. And on the one hand, it was trivial, maybe okay, both of them are $20 expenses, who cares? But on the other hand, I was this is the super basic stuff. If you're not running a systematic enough close to catch this, how can I be at all confident that the way more opaque accruals processes that you may be doing for me, the rev rec, the prepaid expense management, all of that stuff, how can I have any confidence that that stuff that I don't know how to audit as well is actually getting done well? So I think having a detailed review process is important in that, one, not only does it actually help these, but two, it helps signal to your clients that you are running a systematic closing process, and you're not just doing accounting by the seat of your pants.
Right. And that's, you, right? If you were doing the work and you know exactly what you're looking for, and you run into these issues, but when you are running a large team and you've got a team of accountants and bookkeepers who are doing the work for you, how do you ensure that month-end review is performed consistently from one person to the next, right? And so your tool helps with that. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, I think that was, especially in the very early days of Keeper, that was something that we really tried to emphasize. Was we would work with a lot of firms who were just getting past the stage of it being all them. So maybe they had started working with a couple of contractors, or they had recently hired out a team, and there is this real anxiety there of for the first time ever, I'm not doing the work. How can I be sure that the work maintains the same level of high quality as if I'd done it myself? And we tried to focus on how can we give the accounting firm owner, the bookkeeping firm owner, that level of confidence. And step one is just having a very detailed review built out that anyone knows how to run. And so we start with that, but we also allow the accounting firm to layer on their own custom review points. So things like a special report, that might be relevant for just their closing processes or just like one specific client's closing processes. That's like why we allow you to build out your own custom, just pure tasks that you may want to do that may not be something that references QuickBooks or Xero data directly inside of the ledger in Keeper, but it may just be a step-by-step checklist you want someone to follow. And then we take all of those tasks that you're doing and we pull them out and we show them on a single dashboard that the accounting owner can look at and see in a single glance in like 5 seconds which clients are running behind schedule, which clients have not had their reviews performed yet, which clients have outstanding questions they haven't responded to, which clients have asked questions that we haven't responded to. So I think we help those firm owners get that confidence with that delegation, with a combination of both, one, giving them a more detailed review that their team can run, and two, giving them more visibility into what their team is doing.
And it seems like you're giving a single point of contact for the firm, their employees, and the client. So it makes it easier for everybody to know exactly where to go. And if they have a question, they ask it. If they need answers, they know where to go to get them. So, I mean, that sounds
That's
like
right.
a really, really slick process you built out.
That's right. And I think, again, that comes back to the need to have the work and the workflow really deeply connected. I think there's this really common paradigm where you have like a workflow management system that's sort of somewhere else, and then you have the actual work that you need to do. And so people will just get caught up in doing the work. And then the like workflow system is almost like bookkeeping for your bookkeeping work. And you may not do it even though you've done the work. And so then the manager's sort of window into what's happening may not be accurate or may not be real time. And that makes it just challenging to actually have that real insight. So by connecting it to the work, you get communication that's more tied into real time, like what's happening in the actual work that needs to get done in the ledger, and more real time visibility.
So we're getting into more of the practice management side of things. You're a month-end close tool, but would you consider yourself a practice management tool as well?
Yep. It's an interesting question. I would say we focus on solving customer problems more than we focus on like how we label ourselves as a category. We do have firms who will use us as a practice management solution entirely. We also have other firms who will use Keeper as just a month-end close tool, and they'll use another practice management solution. And they'll have like one task in that practice manager that says run close in Keeper, and then they'll just have the full fidelity of the close in Keeper. So we try to meet firms where they are and where they want to be, and we don't try to be super. We're not trying to put labels on it.
I love that. That's amazing. Yeah, the flexibility is great.
For sure. So there's also a debate, portal or no portal. Do you see Keeper as being that portal for firms and clients?
So we'll say two things on this point. First is, if you look at Keeper today, we are very opinionated that the answer is yes, portal. I don't think that is fundamental to our beliefs about how accounting should mature in its adoption of technology. But definitely, if you look at Keeper today, a lot of the communication is oriented around getting a question into the portal, getting the client into the portal. And so we'll do a lot. Like we put the transaction questions in the portal, we put other questions in the portal, we let you publish financials to the portal, our receipt management drives off of the portal. And so it just gives the client more and more reasons to go to the portal. And then once they're in the portal, they see everything that it can do, and it drives a lot of adoption that way. That said, over the course of the next probably 3 to 6 months, we'll have a lot more generic functionality for working with the client where they are, whether that's email. We already have some texting capabilities, so expanding those. So broadly speaking, we do want to add some more flexibility there, but I think you're missing out if you don't even think about the idea of a portal just as a more generic concept of like a service desk. So like for our example, like if you are a customer of Keeper and you want to reach out to us, you can email me, spen.stein@keeper.app, and I will like loop in the right resources. You can email help@keeper.app. That's our customer support address. And then you can also log into Keeper, click in the bottom right-hand corner, and then write a ticket in there as well, and we'll also help out that way. And all of those actually feed into a single central place. Intercom is what we use, and it makes a lot of sense for a SaaS business, probably not as much sense for an accounting firm. But I think that concept of a like single service desk where all of your requests from all your clients can go is is missing in most firms today. And the portal is like one surface for that. And but we do see it like giving you a single central place for managing all the requests coming in, whether they're coming in from email or a portal or some other system, will be important for a modern firm trying to deliver high quality service to their clients over the next decade.
So you mentioned, Intercom might not be the place for a accounting firm. 3+ years ago, I tried leveraging Intercom. And
really, how did that go?
It had some limitations. You wanted communications to go out to, let's say you had two owners, or the owner and the bookkeeper. You wanted that information to go out to both of them so they could respond, and it wouldn't do that. So that was very fragmented at that point. But I had been using Zendesk and other tools for 6+ years before that, just trying to get it to that next level of communications. So just having features like that built into your software that allow us to communicate with our clients is it's definitely the way of the future, because we're all leveraging one way or another shared inboxes or specific apps that do that for us. So this is a way to streamline our app stack and get things a little streamlined.
Yep. And I think it's really interesting to it's sort of no surprise to me to hear that you have tried Intercom and you've tried Zendesk, just knowing how tech forward you are. And I think it hits on one of the tragedies of horizontal software is it just feels like you have to rebuild the entire thing to make it work for the way your firm works or the way accounting firms work, because there are some things that are surprisingly similar between running a SaaS business and running an accounting firm, and then there are some things that are different, and you're trying to jam a square peg into a round hole. And Intercom is really great if you have 2 dedicated full-time customer support reps that are going to just be manning this thing. But it's not so great if you want to set different SLAs. You want to set a response time expectation of 24 hours or 8 hours or next working day. Just real-time chat is not necessarily the right paradigm for that. But we're really excited to come and bring our opinions to bear on that in software over the course of the next couple of quarters.
Yeah, it's interesting, especially as we're talking about the fragmentation of software, right? Because you're trying to fit a square peg in a round hole. And what ends up happening is you're going to have to build all these workarounds on the back end. You're going to have to utilize tools like Zapier and Make, and that's totally fine to streamline the process. But if you don't have to do that, why go through the process of doing that? So I have a life example for you. A customer client that we were working with, construction client, they were renovating their own business. They were a QuickBooks user. And they had a lot of jobs where they had to submit receipts for transactions, and those transactions had to be coded to customers within the system. So the only person who knows where those receipts should be coded is the owner. So how do you increase the communication and the collaboration between the accounting firm and the owner so that they're not having to log into QuickBooks and or Xero to code all these transactions? And we had a lot of success just having them go into Keeper. They were submitting all of the receipts there. They were able to actually code those transactions themselves in Keeper. They were also able to access all the reporting and then submit questions and vice versa. And they were just blown away by it. They just love the experience. So I think we're going towards a place now where the more you can consolidate all of these communication tools and softwares that you're using, the better.
That's awesome. And yeah, I'm glad to hear that, because that's what we're trying to do with this software is give you that ability to consolidate, and through that consolidation, ultimately improve the end client experience. So make it easier for the customers who want to give you this stuff to give you that stuff.
Since we're talking about features, what features do you feel like resonate the most with your accounting partner base?
It's a good question. And the reality is, because we've built out so much, different things draw different people. I think probably the two that we see most common are the in-depth file review and our client communications tooling, broadly defined. And of course, there's a lot of interactions points between that, where you have things like your file review will give you questions that you want to ask your clients. So sort of you can't have one without the other. But the ability to, at a glance, see what are issues with this client's file that you need to fix, be able to fix them, be able to ask your clients or ask your team if you're not able to fix them, and then be able to complete the close and deliver reporting all in a single system is, I think, something that most firms find really appealing.
So what are some of the lesser known features that the user should be aware of? Or what are things that you would want to add in a demo to make sure other people are getting that understanding?
Yeah, I think one of the ones that is probably really underappreciated is our client properties. So this is sort of like Keeper's version of a CRM. You can have like drop-down style properties. Like you can think of this like a mini baby Salesforce inside of Keeper. You have drop-down style properties, plain text, user style, like user picker properties, and you can literally build out this list of properties that matter for your clients. And once you have this built out, you actually have a lot more capabilities with the tooling. So I'll give a couple of examples. Let's say you use Keeper for both your bookkeeping and your income tax clients. You can have a property that says bookkeeping and a property that says income tax. You can have these as checkboxes. And then what you can do with that is you can filter your client list to say, let me just see my income tax clients. So you can get a single view of all your income tax clients. Same thing with your bookkeeping clients. And then with those same filtered views, you can also bulk apply templates. So if you have like a template you want to apply for your 2024 tax returns, you can bulk apply that only to the income tax clients. And then we also have other bulk tools like bulk sending. So we have a bulk, we call this bulk email blasts. And it lets you email all of the contacts that fit a certain criteria. So if you're using client properties, you can say, let me email all of my income tax clients and say, hey guys, just as a heads up, like the tax deadline is April 15th, make sure you have all of your stuff in. And it's by leveraging that connected information, we make sending the right email to the right person at the right time as easy as just clicking two buttons.
That's an awesome one. That's an awesome call out, actually. Yeah, I think Xero has a feature like this where you're able to group your clients within the accounting portal. And I honestly don't see very many firms using a feature like that, even though I believe they should, because they're losing out on potential efficiency gains, like you mentioned, right? You're able to tag basically all of the clients as income tax clients and send that an email in bulk, a single email, rather than having to be like, oh, okay, did I miss one here? Did I not miss one here? And then, even just grouping things by or flagging things as, vertical, industry vertical. Is it an e-commerce client? Is it a real estate client? And then I think the more you have, knowledge and information around the types of clients you're serving, especially if you're serving, you don't have a niche, you're able to then assign access to those groups of clients, or even like have a single bookkeeper work on that subset of clients because they know that specific niche well. And then, so there's subtleties between every single client.
Yeah, I think that's exactly right. And one of the things, like, I think continuing to build off of that is something we're really interested in. So we're working on, it's a new feature, it's in private beta, but should be rolled out fairly soon, which is bringing financial statement values directly onto the client list. So for the first time, I think maybe ever, you'll be able to see all of your clients, like their revenue for the last month, revenue for the last 12 months, gross profit, net profit for the last month and last 12 months, cash balance, cash on hand for the last 12 months. And I think what that's going to allow is one, if you talk about this sort of vertical service-based benchmarking. So you can download a list of all your e-commerce clients and say, what was their average profit in 2020, like average profit margin, average gross profit margin in 2024. And then you can use that data to go and have a advisory style conversation with your clients. Like, hey, you guys were more profitable. You should consider doing X, Y, and Z thing to press your advantage. And so I think that industry benchmarking is one thing we'd love to unlock. And then the other is you can do more proactive style advisory. So you don't have to wait for your clients to ask you like, hey, are we going to run out of cash this month? But you can be constantly monitoring a metric from the profit and loss or from the balance sheet. And then when that metric gets below a certain value, you'll see it right there on the client list. And then you can just have immediately proactively reach out to your client. And then you're really pressing like, hey, it's not just about getting the books done every month. We're actually continuously monitoring your financials to reach out if there's anything that you should be aware of.
So you mentioned this feature coming out in the near future. What else is on your roadmap?
Yeah, it's a great question. There is a lot that we are super excited to release. Receipt management is one that has been in an open beta for the last around 3 months or so. And that is something we are like putting the finishing touches on and just about ready to go to GA with. I'm super excited about it. There is this sort of concept of the service desk that I mentioned that we're working on. We're also working on better support for like specifically tax firms. So things like tax questionnaires, like intake forms, are other things that we're really excited about. There's a few more that we want to play our cards a little closer to our vest on, but we ship new software every single week, so there's always something I'm excited about.
That's awesome. I completely understand not revealing the entire roadmap. Yeah, you got to cut the things close to the vest. So, what differentiates you from other softwares in your space? What do you say are the one or two things that separate you?
Yeah, at the end of the day, it all comes back to the deep integration to the client's accounting software. And what that means is you can actually run a file review inside Keeper. You can actually communicate with your clients about W-9 requests, or communicate with their vendors about W-9 requests, or communicate with them about uncategorized transactions. And through that concept of working inside of Keeper, one, I just think our tools help you solve business problems. And because those tools help you solve business problems, I think it becomes a compelling place to keep a lot of your canonical work, so your client information, your other kinds of tasks. So really, it comes back to that deep integration to Xero or QuickBooks.
Great.
Cool. So I want to pivot gears just a little bit and talk a little bit about community, because Jay and I have been in and around the accounting industry for a while on both sides of the equation, both on the software side and also on the accounting firm side. And it's difficult. It's very challenging, I think, to build relationships with accounting firms, right? Because it's just a lot of software out there. It's overwhelming. And there's a lot of different kind of aspects that you need to come prepared with. You know, it's the support, it's onboarding and implementation that needs to be seamless. It's the product itself. There's so much to think about, and yet you've been able to build a very loyal community. So, can you tell us what your approach was and what's been working for you?
Yeah, I think if I had to isolate it down to one single thing, it would just be like caring about our customers on a systematic basis. So we have always taken this approach where we strive to be the vendors we wish we could work with. So we're always here to answer your questions, whether it's live chat, if you want to hop on a call. Like, my phone number is in every email I send. You can always call me and I answer. And so we want to be approachable, because we know software is not just about like paying money and getting access to this website, but it's about actually using a tool to solve your business problems. And so our single largest team is our engineering team that ships new product. Our second largest team is our customer success team that just trains people on how to use Keeper. And that's really, really important to us. So I think everything really starts there, on training people on how to use Keeper, and on listening to them when they ask us when they tell us what they want, and just shipping those things rather than being so laser focused on what we think is important that our clients may not actually care about.
I think it's such a simple thing when you say it out loud like that, but you know, they're such crucial things, and it's awesome that you're making yourself and Keeper so available and approachable, because that's something that I feel like very, very few softwares do well.
Thank you. But what I will say is, like, now that we have this community, I think there's really interesting things we can do with it, primarily just around helping our community help other members of our community. So over the last year, we've seen all of these consultants and firms pop up that are like helping people set up Keeper. In fact, we actually just released a new community-oriented feature today called Community Templates that lets anyone create a community, or anyone create a template, publish it into our community library, and then anyone else can use it. And my hope there is, as people start to build out these templates, and we plan on publishing our own month-end close into here so people can really see what we use to run our own close in Keeper. But as we get, as that library starts to get built out, my hope is that the community can help other people in the community grow and systematize their own month-end close. So really excited to go into this sort of next stage of, now that we have built this community and we want to continue to invest in it, helping the community help other members.
That's incredible. Yeah. I mean, I love that idea. Jay, how do you feel about that?
No, that sounds incredible. And, you think about, you used to go to accounting shows and people didn't want to have those conversations. They didn't want to share any best practices because it was a possibility that if I shared with you, you're going to come and steal a client or something like that. It's like, we today are such a different community. We co-opitate, we're competition, but we work together to make the industry as a whole better. And I think between the firms doing it, the software vendors, it's all coming together. And you go to a XeroCon or a Scaling New Heights and you feel the energy and you leave there. It's like you reach out to your friends. It's like, hey, let's share, let's collaborate on some of these things. And it's just amazing, and I look forward to more and more of it. And here talking to you now, Ben, reminds me of, it was about 2 years ago, it might have been 2+ years ago, shortly after I joined High Rock. One of our team members called you to get a demo, and we were sitting there talking and going through it, and it's like, I was just getting my arms wrapped around everything, and I wasn't ready to make any changes at that point. But you jumped in there and you went through this, and like you said, your phone number is on every email you have. We run into each other at conferences, and I'm looking forward to jumping back into Keeper again and seeing all the changes that you've made. And I mean, just 3 months ago, it's a difference from what you're talking about here. So I can't wait to see it. And
thank you.
Sit down with you and talk not only about my upcoming trip, but what you got coming on, because you could tell me personally these things are deep buried in your roadmap, right?
Yeah, look, I'm always happy to share. And excited to give you the latest. I think it speaks to the value of the fact that we ship new software every single week, is we're constantly improving Keeper. And it's not just always like, hey, we shipped this feature to say we shipped a feature. Sometimes it's like, hey, we made this thing that was clunky and unintuitive less clunky and more intuitive.
Yeah.
So we try not to use that as an opportunity only for like shipping new features to market, but also as an opportunity to just make Keeper continuously more usable.
And it sounds like, just like Xero is very open to the user feedback, as are you, and you want your community to give you, feature requests so you can keep making your platform better and simpler and easier and removing all of that friction.
Yeah. I think it's weird how little of this you see in the accounting space, generally speaking. Like, it surprises me because I think at some level, everyone wants to know, but like they have built this almost adversarial relationship where it's like, we will begrudgingly ship this software for you if you like threaten to cancel. It's like, no, we just like want to make good software. I think there's some piece of it's like we have this like just deep yearning to build better month-end close software, and our customers are like the best positioned to tell us how to do that. So I'm continuously surprised how little of this we see, but I think it's a superpower for Keeper to just listen to our customers.
Yeah.
Well, and it's super helpful that you have that firsthand experience and that pain too. So you understand very, very intimately, what your customers are going through as well, and can relate. So I think it's very powerful.
Thank you. Yeah, and that is something that we also try and we try and not have it just be me. Like, we have multiple CPAs in our 4 walls here at Keeper, and not only that, but multiple ex-customers. So people who were like previously customers of Keeper and then have come and joined Keeper to help us preach the gospel, if you will. And I think that's super helpful for giving potential new customers of Keeper an authentic understanding of what makes Keeper work for firms. And then also it helps us continue to listen the right way. So we're not just like blindly taking feedback, but we can listen to that and pass it through our own experience of using Keeper, so that we make sure that we're shipping elegant software that a significant fraction of our client base will use.
Well, that is awesome. And I think that you are doing a great job. We thank you for sharing so much today, talking about the platform that you have built, how you built it, how you went about it, and talking about your community. So we want to say thank you so much for all of that information, Ben. And look forward to, like I said, sitting down with you in Orlando in a couple weeks and having a good conversation there. So everybody reach out to Keeper. It's keeper.app and check it out. Sign up for a trial and, give it a run.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for having me on. It was a pleasure. And always happy to chat. I hope you enjoy your time in Greece, and looking forward to seeing you in Orlando in a few weeks.
For sure. Thank you, Ben. Cam, any parting words?
No, thank you so much, Ben. I appreciate it. Actually, we should be asking you that question. Do you want to leave any parting words with the audience today?
Just if you have any questions, any questions, any satisfactions or dissatisfactions, you can reach out to me. I answer all my emails, ben.stein@keeper.app, and excited to hear from you.
Awesome.
There you have it.
Thank you, everybody. Thanks for paying attention for the last 30 some odd minutes. We'll catch you next time on Zero Limits. Have a great rest of your day, everybody.